Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the third and final part of this Pay Equity webinar series, organized by us here at Trucking HR in partnership with the Pay Equity Unit of the Canadian Human Rights Commission. It has been an interesting 3 weeks of learning and ingesting loads of information on implementing the Pay Equity Act, and we have been sending out the recordings, the resource links, some resource links, and presentation decks. But if you have missed this, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to send this your way. So for the benefit of those who might not have been here week 1, week 2, or might have missed the beginning of either weeks, my name is Alero Kujagu, and I am a Senior Programs Manager here at Trucking HR Canada. What we do here is we are a non-for-profit organization, and we are dedicated to providing modern HR solutions to the trucking and logistics workforce. As leaders, we explore and share best practices on HR and also available trainings. We offer evidence-based HR solutions, and that helps define occupation and skills requirements within our industry. Here at Trucking HR, we also provide accurate labor market information to the industry to help support the numerous employers, to educate the general public, and also, most importantly, to inform the government on our industry needs. As thought leaders, we are committed to promoting trucking and logistics as a great place to work. And we do this by ensuring that people are aware of the different prospects that working in this sector offers just about anyone. And so we create forums and opportunities for gathering and knowledge sharing and exchange on emerging HR issues which affect the trucking and logistics industry. And we pride ourselves here with having, great insights and analysis into the key issues facing our industry. This is one of the reasons why we are here, gathered here today with our friends from the Pay Equity team. And I will now hand over the reins to Danielle Goodleaf. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you very much, Alero. Hello, everyone. Excuse my voice. I have a bit of a cold happening here, but I'll do my best to power through. I'll be presenting the Pay Equity tool to you today, and giving you some information about that. It'll be a brief walkthrough, not a detailed instruction, and information on how to get the tool. Now, we've previously had the tool up on our website, but we ran into some technical issues just yesterday. So I'm just going to show you my screen here. If you're interested in acquiring the tool, hopefully you can see my screen right now. You can go to the Pay Equity website at payequitychrc.ca. And if you click on Tools and Resources and Forms, it brings you to our Request for Information form. And if you complete this form, you can request the tool through this form, and it will be sent to you, a link to the tool will be sent to you via email. Once you receive that email, the link will bring you to a OneDrive folder, which is what you see in front of you now. So our tool includes the tool itself, which is an Excel document. We have a sample summary template. We have the tool user guide, the job evaluation guide, an hourly calculator, a case study that the tool that we use to run through the tool. And then we also have the tool with some fictitious data from the case study that we used to help you see how the tool works. And I'll be bringing that up in a short time. I just wanted to let you know, so the Pay Equity Plan tool was created for small to medium-sized businesses in creating their Pay Equity Plan. It can be used to input or import employee and position data to create job classes. It can be used to list your job classes and link your positions to an established job class. Can be used to calculate the current gender predominance of your job classes. Can be used to evaluate job classes using the point factor method, and only the point factor method that was created for the tool. So if you're using the tool, that's the only method you can use. It can be used to calculate the hourly value of total compensation, to determine whether there are any gaps in total compensation between male and female predominant job classes. If you use the job evaluation method that's established within the tool, the equal average method is used within the tool. And I believe that was discussed briefly last week. You can also create the summary document with that summary template that is here in the folder. And then just a quick note on what the tool cannot do is it cannot group together job classes for you. It cannot use a different job evaluation method. So if you have your own job evaluation method, it can't be integrated into the tool. It cannot use the equal line or any alternate method to determine compensation gaps. And it cannot extract your data into a separate document. So prior to showing you the tool itself, I'm just going to open up the user guide for you here. I did, actually before that, my apologies. So when you get into this folder, you're going to want to select all the documents and you're going to want to download all of those. I did that prior to the meeting. And then what I did is I extracted them into a folder, which I now have on my desktop. And there's a very important reason for that, which I will get to shortly. But for now, I will open up the user guide just to give you a quick look. So this is our Pay Equity Plan Tool user guide. And as you scroll through the guide, it does show you that the guide is really user-friendly. It helps you create your pay equity plan, and it is used in conjunction with some of the other resources that we have on our website. It does have a step-by-step process for the pay equity plan, which I believe was covered previously. Every section of the user guide does have screenshots to help you and detailed information as well. So what I will do is I will go now to the tool. So the first part of the user guide does tell you about saving the tool. It is important that you do follow these steps in order for the tool to work properly. So once you have your tool into a folder on your desktop, it can't be saved in the cloud. It has to be on a desktop or a local drive. You'll want to open up that tool. Sorry, I already had it open. So one of the things you'll want to do before you use the tool is you need to go in and set a trusted location. So you go into File, and we're going to go into Options and Trust Center. And then we have Trust Center Settings and Trusted Locations. Now, this is all laid out in the user guide. There are detailed instructions and steps on how to do this. So I'm not going through it too slow, but it is important that you have the file folder that you are using for your tool needs to be in a trusted location. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new location. And I'm going to browse and I'm going to find that folder on my desktop that I created for this demonstration. So it's my Pay Equity Tool files. I'm going to click OK. And then subfolders of this location are also trusted. Click OK. And now it is listed in the trusted locations. And then you're going to save your tool prior to using it, close it, and then you will reopen it from that trusted location, which is this file that I found. All right, oops. Okay, so here the blank Pay Equity tool is now open, And I'll just give you a quick little run through, and then I will show you the tool that we have that is pre-populated. So it gives you an idea of how your information will go into the tool. So in the tool, the navigation page, which is the first page, as you can see, it is an Excel tool. So we have, before you begin, there is the Pay Equity Compass, and that is a link to the Pay Equity Compass, and I believe it was mentioned in the past, and this helps determine if you are, if the act is applicable to you, and you can click on that from the tool directly. And we've got determine your employee count, which is another link, of course. Pay Equity Plan Preparation. Now, you notice it does say read the user guide. We do highly recommend that you thoroughly read the user guide before you use the tool at all. It gives you a good overview of how the tool works, as well as the process of creating your plan. Excuse me. Then there's enter employee information, which I will be showing you shortly. Step 1, as you can see, it is laid out in the steps that we have discussed previously. So you have step 1, create your job classes. And there are 3 tabs for that. Step 2, determine which job classes are predominantly female and which ones are predominantly male. And we have one tab there. Step 3, valuing the work done in each of these job classes. And you have 3 tabs. And then there's also the job evaluation user guide, which is within the tool files. And you would download that separately. It is an extremely valuable resource that you will want to go through as well for your job evaluation. Step 4, calculate the total compensation in dollars per hour for each of the job classes. And there are 2 tabs for that. And then step 5, compare compensation to determine if there are differences in compensation between male and female job classes of equal value. And of course, as mentioned, it uses the equal average method. So we've got 3 tabs for that. And then your step 6 and 7, which is preparing and then posting the draft and final versions of your pay equity plan. These steps are done separately. So just a quick note, I'm just going to scroll back up here. So I'll just show you, we have an employee count worksheet. This employee count worksheet is not linked within the tool, so it can be used separately. You can download the tool and just use the count worksheet if that's what you wish to do. And then we have the employer information tab, and this gives you important information about the employer. I will be showing you that completed once I bring up the tool that has data in it. This is your employer data sheet, or employee data sheet. So the employee data sheet can either be completed manually or you can import a CSV file. Now, this is something I wanted to show you separately, as it is something that can be very helpful in the long run. So as you can see, it has a number which is automatically populated. We have position title, employee ID, and that's for confidentiality purposes. Gender, type of base pay, base hourly rate, minimum salary range, maximum salary range, and then of course related job class. Now, if we take a look, I'm going to show you what a sample CSV file would look like. So what you would do is create an Excel spreadsheet with the same titles that are in the tool. This is where you would enter all of your information. It's easily editable. You won't have any issues if you do this ahead of time. And it makes putting all your data into the tool much easier. It's not mandatory. However, it is a good way to operate it. I would call it for sure a best practice. So once you have all of your information, to create your CSV, you would do File, Save As. And I'll just wait a moment for my pop-ups to come up here. We'll just cancel out of this and it'll bring up the save window. So what you want to do is you want to click down at the type of file that you're saving, and you want to go down to a CSV, which is a comma delimited file. Once you create that CSV, I'm going to hit save and I'll show you what it looks like. it does give you this warning, but you can just go ahead and say yes. So we're going to create that CSV file. So now this is a CSV file. It doesn't change the way it looks in here, but it allows it to be imported. And I will show you that import. So I'll just give a moment here. I'm going to make sure. Okay. I'm going to save my changes. Now, I won't be using this as the full demo, but I am going to show you how the import works. So we click on Import CSV File, and I have my sample CSV with data. I'm going to click on that, click OK, and it just takes a moment or two. It's going to process the information, and there we have all the data has been successfully imported. So I find this a really good way to work. If you're using the tool to have that data file separate, just make sure that your columns are all the same, and it'll import quite nicely. And then as you go through, the tabs do inform the next tabs. So the more, as you enter your information, it will be carried over into the following tabs. So what I'm going to do now is, rather than continue with this file, I'm going to show you the one that we have with sample data, as we did complete or fill in a lot of the sample data. I'll just take a moment here. All right, so this is the case study tool that we did. So we used the case study that we discussed. The case study is in those files. And then we filled out the information. So we have the name of the employer. It asks if you're part of a group of employers, as that is an option. And we put no. The date that the group became subject to the act, stating that yes, there is a pay equity committee with this group. Multiple plans, it says only complete if you receive permission from the Pay Equity Commission to have more than one pay equity plan. So that, of course, is something that was discussed previously. So we have one pay equity plan. This is the name of the pay equity plan. We have the number of employees in the organization, which is 50. And then the date of the initial snapshot, which is important to have. This is really important because you need to know if your data changes during the process of creating pay equity plan, if there's positions added, positions deleted, if there's change in gender incumbency, this all has to be recorded. So you will refresh your data before the end of your plan. And this is discussed in the user guide as well. So we want to make sure that you have your snapshot date in there. All right, so now we're going to show you the employee data. So just a quick note, when we put in this data, just to show how the tool works, as you notice, it said there's 50 employees with this organization, but we've only entered 11. And I will do one manual entry as well, just to show you how that works. So the numbers may seem alarming to some, but it is a very small sampling. Your numbers will not look the same. It all depends on your salaries within your organization, how they're paid, and so on and so forth. So what we had done here is we had imported the CSV file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another position here. So we will put in an assistant manager. And we'll put in an employee ID. So this assistant manager, gender incumbency, we'll use the drop-down arrow. We'll say, or not the gender incumbency, but the current gender of the position is male. Type of base pay, we are going to put salary. Base hourly rate, 35, minimum salary range, say 30, and then the maximum will say 45. Excuse me. And then we're going to take a look here and see, okay, well, we've got all of these related job classes which were entered, and I will show you the job class tab in a moment. So we're going to put this person in the planner job class. So if you go over to job classes, this is where you establish your job classes. Now, if I needed to add another job class, I could do so. And so I will put in a management job class and hit enter. Now, with this tab, it is very important that you let it think until it's done. If you try to rush it, it'll freeze the program. It's a very large program with a lot of background operations, so it does take long to enter the job classes. But once they're in, you'll see it'll pop up and it'll say job class created. There we go. The class has been created successfully. Another important thing to note is when you are creating your job classes, as well as when you are entering your employee data, to not have extra spaces at the end of the words, because that can cause errors in the program. Now I'll move on and I will show you the job class worksheet. So the job class worksheet, as you can see, it's not linked to the rest of it. It's more of a checklist to help you make sure that your job classes are appropriate. So you have your administrative assistant, and we've asked, do the positions within each job class share the following criteria? So all of the positions in the administrative assistant accounting must have similar duties and responsibilities, similar skills and qualifications, same type of base pay and salary, same salary range, and access to the same compensation plans or elements. Now, if I was to go down here and I say, okay, well, I look at my customer service agents, some of them don't have the same responsibilities. So if I click no, it's going to give me a red line saying that that's not a proper job class for all the positions. So we would need to create a separate job class to ensure that everything is the same within the job class. Now, as we move on, you can see that everything was pre-populated with the information from the employee data. We did do the work ahead of time, so this is just to show you. So number of females in the administrative assistant position, there is one, and there's one male. There's no of another gender. So current gender predominance is 50%. And so this one is shown in percentage, as you can see. So that would mean that the current gender predominance of that position is neutral. The historical incumbency, however, after doing some research, they found it to be female, excuse me, as well as the occupational stereotypes. So both the historical and the occupational stereotypes determine that this is a female position. And then there is the box here that you would enter your rationale for your decision. I'll move on to showing you the weight factors. So within the tool, it is split out very nicely. We have skills, effort, responsibility, and work conditions. Now, all of these, of course, must add up to 100%. You can put in your own factors, but as long as it adds up to 100%. So this is how you would determine your factor ratings. We do have, just going to, so here is the, with the weight factors, we have a description of each one of these. So responsibility, impact of action, impact and responsibility to take action or make decisions, including the cost or complexity to fix errors made. It could impact factors such as project or colleague timelines, meeting organization goals, or safety of others. So there's information here that talks about, so if it's RI1, it would be the non-quality of work and the way it's carried out has a minor impact. So each one of these has a full description, and you can go through. This has all of them. but you can also click on the drop down and narrow it down. So if you want to just look at effort, we can click on that and then it will just show effort. So there's motor effort and then intellectual and cognitive effort. And then there's the amount of points that are associated with each one of these. Then we move on to the evaluate job classes. So as you can see, Administrative Assistant 1 is rated at SK2. When you click on that box, it does give you the information at the top. It gives you the definition. So when you're working on your things, and if you want to say, okay, well, I'm not sure if it's an SK2, let's check SK3. So SK3 gives you that definition. And each one of the levels is fully described, so you don't have to go back and forth between tabs to see if you have the right description. Once you have all of your information entered and you've determined which levels and your evaluation of work is completed, we move on to the calculation of compensation. As you can see, everything is pre-populated. So the work that you do in these tabs ahead of time by determining the gender predominance, determining your job evaluation, your weight factors, and evaluating your job classes, everything will help populate the compensation tabs. We do have the compensation worksheet, and the compensation worksheet, just go to the top here. Currently we have the customer service position, and this talks about the types of compensation and if there's any adjustments. So when you look at the calculate compensation, we have your maximum base hourly rate, hourly value of other compensation elements. So that customer service one that I just showed you had some adjustments, and they're shown here. We have the total hourly compensation. We have the hourly value of Section 46 exclusions. Once again, there's an amount here, and these Section 46 additions, and that's that amount there. And that was done in the compensation worksheet. And I'll just scroll down and show you. It's quite a large worksheet, but you don't need to use all of the sections. It's just whatever applies to your organization and your situation. So here you can see an amount. There was an amount put in for holidays right here. And then there was also an amount here for RSP. And then down here, the shift work premium was subtracted. And the difference due to the employee training program, this was added. And so these are Section 46 exclusions and additions. And that is all calculated, and it comes into here. Now we'll just move on down. So 5.1. So once you've done all of your compensation evaluation, all the information moves into the bands. So this establishes your bands, and you have your band, your minimum job class point value, your band starting point, your band increments, and then the maximum job class point value. So it shows which band was assigned to each of the positions and how many positions there are. You've got your gender predominance, your job class point value. There's the minimums and maximums as we discussed, assigned band, and then your adjusted totally hourly compensation value. Then we move on to the comparison results. So this is the band summary. So it's going to show you what the bands are. So we have 8 bands. And as I mentioned before, this is a very small sampling of this organization. So it's not extremely accurate, but it gives you an idea of how the tool works, which is the main purpose here. So it gives you the band maximum, the band minimum, the band maximum. You've got your female job class count and your male job class count. Your male average hourly compensation rates, your female average hourly compensation rates, whether they are eligible for adjustment or not, and then the average compensation source. And then if you scroll over, This is the female job class summary. So you can see the planner has no adjustment. So that can be the case in your organization. There may be adjustment increases and there may not be. And then at the very end, you move over and it gives you the male job classes summary. So it does give you a really good overview of all of your job classes with this band summary. Then we go over the comparison summary, and it gives you an overall results summary. So you have your total increase to wages in percentage and what the average adjustment is. It gives you the number of employees that are receiving adjustments. So here we have 3 employees, which is 6% of the population. As you can see, it's a very small sampling, which is indicative of the fact that we did not enter all 50 employees. And then you have the demographics. So number of job classes getting an increase, the number of bands getting an increase, and then the largest and smallest gap in this sampling. And then you have the scatter plot as well. And if you click on pre-adjustment, it actually moves those dots down. So it'll show you where those adjustments came in. So click on post adjustments and those dots go up. The blue are the male job classes and the orange are the female job classes. So that is laid out for you here. And so that is pretty much the whole tool. And as I had mentioned before, once you've completed working within the tool, you would use your summary template. And I'm just going to open that up for you. It'll just take a moment here. And it does link to the tool. So once you've completed all the work in the tool, it will fill out your summary template. So I'm just going to show you the template itself. As you can see, it's not populated because I didn't do the import. Sorry about that. Just give me a moment. So here it does give you all the information. So everything that is in the tool, like we said about the employer data, would be all in here. And then it would give you all of the information. You would have your job class listings, your female predominant job classes, male predominant job classes, your job evaluation methods. I'm going to just zoom in here. It will show the calculation of compensation, the comparison of compensations, and the female predominant job class and the approach to adjusting compensation. So this is all laid out for you. Information from the Act, and then there's an area for signatures for your organization. So this can be used as your draft plan. So this summary template is included with the tools that we talked about. And yeah, so that is our pay equity tool. I will stop sharing now, and then we can go ahead to questions, and I'll ask my colleague Michaela to help me out with questions if there's any. And hopefully that was informative for you. And like I said earlier, if you wish to receive the tool, please do send us a request for information, and we can get that link out to you at any time. The other thing I'll mention, actually, I'll just do another quick screen share. I'm just going to mention real quick, our organization completed a webinar that is now available on our website. So if you go on to the Pay Equity website and you, with the screen share, I can't see everything. But if you go under Building a Pay Equity Plan and click on Milestone 2, we have the Creating a Pay Equity Plan webinar, and the link is right here. You click on that link, it'll open up the webinar. It is just under an hour. It is available in both English and French. And it basically goes over the steps of creating a pay equity plan webinar. And we do use the case study that was mentioned earlier that is included with the pay equity tool. The case study was used as a base for this pay equity plan webinar. We do mention the tool in the webinar, but the tool is not used for the webinar. It is basically just a demonstration of how to create a plan basic steps from 1 to 7. And with that, I will stop my share and we are open for questions.
Michaela, did you want to facilitate some of the questions that we've received for Danielle?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we hope that you found this information, this demo, useful and informative. So the questions we got are, hold on, I missed the summary tool. I missed the summary tool imports to the Word template for the draft pay equity report. And did you want to go over that?
Yes. So let me see if I can bring it up again to show you. I'll bring up my screen again. Hopefully you can see that. And I'll open up the.
Danielle, we can't see your screen, or I can't anyway, unless other people.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, it's coming.
Starting. There we are.
All right, so let me just find the tab here. I have to go through here and sorry, I'm clicking and nothing is happening. Can you just give me a moment, please? I'm going to have to stop my share. Michaela, if you want to maybe answer the next question while I figure this out.
Well, Danielle, just click. It's when you click on the summary template, right? You should get a message that asks you to link your Excel spreadsheet to the summary Word document. So you would find your completed Excel spreadsheet. You would click on that and it will link it and it will populate that Word document for you.
Right, I was doing it backwards. Apologize for that.
That's okay, no worries. Is that okay for an answer, or do you want us to show you?
I will bring it up. I have it now. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so
hold on. I see your invitation there.
The webinar invitation, Danielle.
Oh, okay, hold on. My apologies. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I did is I did double click on that summary template and it brought up asking to select my file. So if I click on that case study tool with fictitious data, which is the one that I just showed you, and click OK, now it's importing the data. So it'll just take a moment and then it's going to populate all those fields as I mentioned before. But it is linked so that as soon as you click on opening that summary template, if you have your completed tool, it will ask you to select the tool and it'll fill it in. So I'm just going to proceed with importing the data and it'll show you. So here now it shows that the name of the organization is populated, the employee count, and all the other information. I can't scroll yet because it's still thinking, but it does populate everything for you. But you just simply have to open that, that document that comes with the tool. And as I said at the very beginning, you want to download everything right away and put it in a file folder that is off the cloud, and then everything should work properly for you. And I will stop share with that.
Yeah, and one thing like Danielle's mentioned, it is an Excel spreadsheet. It is an Excel tool, so it does have some limitations, and because it has so many macros and powerful formulas in there, it does take some time to process some elements, and obviously depending on how much data you've entered, it may take a little longer to process everything, because all those spreadsheets are interconnected. So
And that's
something
one of
that-
the reasons that I mentioned that creating your CSV file is really a good practice. And that way you don't have to do too much editing within the tool. If you have all of your job positions created ahead of time in a CSV file, and then when you're ready, you just import it into the tool and it processes everything for you.
Okay, sorry. My apologies. So the next question, I want to understand what factors an employer needs to consider within the meaning of pay equity for one, market adjustments for the same job in different parts of the country. I see Amanda up here. Do you want to take that one?
John, yeah, absolutely, I can. John, thank you for your question. Just so that I can understand it a little bit more, I'm going to ask you to give me a thumbs up when I hit the factor that you're actually referring to, because when I see what you've written here, it may refer to two different factors. So there's one factor under section 46, that must be excluded when you're calculating total compensation. And that first one that I'm going to reference is a temporary increase in compensation or market premium that an employer implemented because a shortage of workers made it difficult to recruit or retain employees with the required skills for the positions in a job class. So I'm not sure if it's that factor because you make reference to market adjustments, or whether it's a second factor under section 46, which is compensation based on the geographic area where an employee works, which could include such things as isolation pay or cost of living supplements. So it's the second one that you're referring to in your
Yeah,
question?
that's where that comes up one.
Okay, perfect. So John, we discussed this briefly last week under our discussion of the exclusions. Just as a little bit of summary for everyone, is there's two different types of exclusions under the Act. Section 45 outlines exclusion amounts that may be removed from the calculation of compensation, whereas section 46 outlines, I believe it's a total of 8 factors off the top of my head that must be excluded from the calculation of total compensation from either subtracting or adding, as Danielle showed you. So in the case of compensation based on geographic area, when you're doing putting in the amounts in that Excel worksheet, John, that Danielle indicated, is so you'd take out or subtract that amount that is given due to so say for example, there's a $2 difference that's given to the same job position in the same job class in a different part of the country. You would subtract that $2 from your calculation of total compensation for that job class. Is that helpful?
I don't see anything, Amanda.
No.
John, if you want to let us know if that was a.
So it would be the amount of compensation. You would exclude the amount of compensation that was attributed to that factor for that job position when you're calculating the total compensation of the job class.
Yeah. Danielle, do you want to bring up that worksheet and just show the exclusion 46 part?
Sure, just give me a moment and I'll bring that up.
Thank you, Danielle.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, here we go.
And I guess, John, in your question of what factors an employer needs to consider, I think that those, like there's obvious 46 exclusion factors, but that would be the employer or the pay equity. They would need to identify that. So what amounts of payment are provided to job positions within the same job class, right? What are those amounts that are attributed to this particular factor that should be excluded?
So you could see under, so we have it under the exclusion of section 46. There is geographical allowance underneath there. So if the factor, in fact, that you're referring to refers to that, that's where you would go. And for that job class, you would put the amount that should be, and in this case, it's a subtraction. And the system will automatically put the negative in there, and it will subtract, and it will take you to the calculation of compensation, and it will take that into account within your total compensation. And Amanda, did we want to speak about the IPGs or?
We shared last week, John, that we are just in the final stages of development for IPG series that will be available on the Pay Equity website and also in this toolkit, so people kind of have everything ready and like available at their disposal. Sorry, when they're ready to use the package.
Oh, I just see John responded. I understand the methodology to remove the market adjustment, but is there any scrutiny given to employer for the legitimacy of the market adjustment in the first place?
That's a good question. I think that scrutiny, would you be doing a pay equity plan? Would it be employer-led or pay equity committee-led? I believe that would be one level of scrutiny. And then also you'll note that there's a requirement for the employer to list any section 46 exclusions that they do use, to list them and to also provide the reason why. So when you do post your draft pay equity plan, there is a 60-day comment for employees, right, to review the draft pay equity plan and provide comments. So I would suppose that would also add another layer of transparency to any decisions that are made. Does that help?
So I see others, other comments. Thank you. When I go to the tab, it appears that you can get access to certain topics. Is there somewhere we can get the entire toolkit that she just reviewed? So Danielle, you want to answer that one? Oh, you're mute.
My apologies. You can access the entire toolkit by sending us a request for information that was mentioned before. Just go to our website and follow follow the request for information is under forms, and just complete that form and request the toolkit, and the link will be sent to you, and you can get the entire toolkit. All the documents that I showed are in that toolkit.
Okay. So we have another one. Speaking to the geographic, if we have a location across the country, how do we determine what rate to use as the base? Example, hourly rate in Ontario is 20, but Alberta is 24. Which one do we use to know where to add or subtract the exclusions? So I'm just seeing, like, there's a couple of ways of doing it. I mean, people are, by the fact that they have differences, it would be like Amanda had explained, you would use the $4, or you could create two separate job classes, right, Amanda? I don't know if you want to. You could, right, because they don't have the same, it's not considered to be the same compensation structure at this point if they're getting more. So you could create that way.
Yeah, I'd have to you, Michaela, for this particular question. There's a lot of context and a lot of components that would be very specific that we'd need to sit down and consider before we provided a very robust question to this or sort of response or guidance. Sandy, these are also the types of questions that the Pay Equity Committee would have to sit down and discuss and work together and work through. There are requirements under the Act to use the base salary rate. You will note in the Act, though, that all of those pieces, like the highest salary rate in the Act is defined as the highest in a range, but outside of that, the other materials or IPGs that we're providing you are guidance based on our certain experiences or scenarios. But in this particular example as well, it'd probably be helpful to have a little bit more information. And I'm sorry, this type of platform, we're not able to go back and forth really and talk about it, because all you can give me is a thumbs up or a hand applause question. I apologize.
Okay. I'm not too sure about the two following. How would okay, maybe I'll skip to the other. Do we still have time?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
About 7 minutes.
Okay. How would an employer exclude merit-based adjustment for individuals who have been in a role for many years? Would it be expected that the employer go back and subtract all merit increases earned over the years?
So the Pay Equity Act is not retroactive.
Yeah, no.
So
you're right. You're looking at your snapshot, your data as of when you've determined that you're taking, you're looking at your data.
Yeah, so it would be that year.
Yeah.
Is that helpful, Melissa?
Yeah, thumbs up. If two jobs fall in the same job class but have very different price points in the market, i.e. trade mechanic versus a predominantly female admin job class, is there any accommodation within pay equity for those market realities?
So, John, I think this question points to the concept of job class. So these these job positions, so the trade mechanic and the admin job class, you're hypothesizing in this question that they would fall in the same job class? Is that what you're? Because I'm.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Okay. Is that possible? I'm wondering. So do you think that these two types of positions have similar? Okay. So accommodation within pay equity for those market realities. So when you're doing the calculation of compensation for the job class, that's where those technicalities would be addressed.
But unless it's part of the, right, like if it's a market, you don't compare to market necessarily, right? Like the Act doesn't, so you won't compare to market. You really assess the job class and the salary, the total compensation within that job class. Yeah. And if those two positions are truly within the same job class, I'm not too sure how you would, unless we're not understanding the question correctly, it's very difficult to answer.
Yeah, because what you're essentially doing, like with the pay equity exercise, you're examining the job position, well, the job classes that you create within your organization, right? And then the value of work is calculated with all of those pieces are done within your organization under whatever falls under your pay equity plan. So aside from the exclusions under 46, which permits you to extract certain amounts due to shortage of skills or like those kind of pieces, then that's really the only place I would see that happening. There's nothing outside of that because the comparison, it happens within rather than externally.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers, John. If you still feel we haven't answered, you could perhaps send us your question.
Yeah, we do have like our request for information process where we're able to kind of go back and forth and help out as much as we can as the regulator, right? Like we obviously can't provide guidance on how to do the pay equity plan specifically for your organization. That kind of falls a bit outside our scope as the regulator, but we do certainly try to help people as much as we can, and we're able to go back and forth a little bit more with that process and try to understand and unravel some of those questions. So if you do have further questions such as that, or anyone here, we're happy to help that way as well.
So maybe there's one last question. Could the pay equity plan involuntarily lead to a decrease or demotion?
No, that's against the law.
Yeah. So hopefully we've answered all of the questions.
I believe those are all the questions in the Q&A, and it's like right on time because we have exactly 2 minutes to the hour. And I just want to say thank you everyone for creating the time to join us. There's so much information, so much, and just thank you to the Pay Equity unit, to the team. Like they mentioned, you can go on the website and everything that they've talked about, there's access, and if you need any information, just send that email from their website and they'll be happy to reach out to you to clarify. They're very accessible and are happy to answer your questions and provide any information that you might need. So thank you again for joining us today. We really hope that you enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you guys.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you as well on behalf of the unit for participating with us and co-hosting this Lunch and Learn series with your members. It was truly a wonderful experience. We hope that everyone found it valuable.
Yes, and we'll be here again in March in French.
Yeah,
Fully French.
Wait.
For those who would have like to participate in French, we'll be having another webinar series. We'll be putting that out anyways in the communication. So watch the space. Will be in your inbox soon. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Michaela. And